got some hot looks in here, but I think we have some hotter debate about to come our way. So let's get into it. And number one, let's get straight into. All right, we all just think he's the biggest guy in B2B at this point, so I'm just going to say that. And mad love for Chris Walker. Worked at Refine Labs for a year. I was their first director of demand gen. I respect everything they're doing in the message. But Chris came out just yesterday, actually, with a new message. I don't think I've ever seen this, right? He came out, he goes, marketing crushes their SQL and pipeline target. Sales misses quota by more than 50%. This shit happens all the time. And yeah, he's right. It does happen a lot, 100%. But he wants to change it and say, marketing should be measured on SQOs, sales qualified opportunities, right? And there's all this debate on how to measure marketing, number one, but I think this is a major concern. If I'm a marketing leader and I'm hearing this advice, yeah, you know who really likes this advice? The sales leader, right? The sales leader wants your marketing team to be measured on SQOs. I can tell you, if you're a marketing leader and you're going to make this transition and adjust to measuring yourself on SQOs, you might as well just honestly get the fuck out, because this is going to be a death trap for you. You're not going to hit that goal and it's going to hurt. And he does say that. He says, this is hard, right? But kind of, to pull a Jurgen, what are we talking about here, right? Like, if marketing is measured on SQOs, why do we even need sales at that point? Marketing's doing all the work. Chris talks about all the time that marketing and sales is different. And I think we need to respect those boundaries. Marketing's job is not to close the deals. If marketing, yes, is not bringing in right fit buyers, they clearly have no interest at all. Yeah, marketing needs to get their shit together. But if marketing is bringing in right fit buyers, they're the right people, that's turning into pipeline, it's not closing. There's a million other issues it could be. It probably is not because marketing is not measured in SQOs.
No, I completely agree. I've been here so many times, I can't tell you, where marketing brings in or hits their goal and hits all of their opportunities, their pipeline, but then it doesn't close. And the problem with continuously blaming marketing for not hitting your growth goals when the breakdown is in the bottom funnel is that there's often different reasons for why that happens, right? Maybe there's product market fit, maybe there's product features. To me, when something breaks down in demo to close, it could be sales execution, it could be product. There's a lot of things that you will miss by scapegoating marketing. And not to say that messaging isn't there, but I've just heard so many times, it's the messaging, the messaging's not there. If you got a buyer in the door and you got to a point where you're issuing a contract and going against a competitor, it is not messaging. There is something else at play, and you are not going to tackle the problem, and you are not going to start closing deals just from changing marketing's metric.
Yeah, I actually I agree with that. I think as I think about kind of this, and I really reinforce kind of what Chris has talked about all this time, which is respect the boundaries between marketing and sales. And I feel like this pushes it not the right direction, and it's really concerning for me.
Yes. I mean, I think if Chris has one thing, and I'm sorry, Jurgen, I think if Chris has one point here, it's that the wrong KPIs can incentivize the wrong behavior, and aiming for the wrong KPIs can send marketing in the wrong direction, and lead the organization to not growth versus growth. And I'm sorry, Jurgen, I talked over you.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, we've all been in these situations where, you're knocking the goal, the sort of short-term, immediate marketing goal out the park, and then for some reason it doesn't translate to the kind of success the business wants. And it's kind of easy, right, to say like, oh, all right, well, it should be like really qualified opportunities as determined by the salesperson. But I don't know, man. I've been at this for a pretty long time. I'm much older than I'd like to admit, and my boyish looks suggest old as dirt. But like, I've always been in situations where the sales team is eager to just like give it their best. Like the sales team isn't necessarily just like, oh, just give me like these layups, right? Like it's like, give me something. Like if it's like you said, like if it's right fit buyer, give me that. I'm getting after it, man. Like I'm a fucking seller. Like I know what I'm doing, and I can get this done. If certain things like enablement and stuff like that is at a certain level and you're not completely fucking up, then you're creating a good enough opportunity. So Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, Chris, who are you talking to here? Normally you talk to us
Yeah.
marketers, but like this felt a little bit different. Much respect, much love, I'm still a happy customer and all, but like, well,
Yep.
yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I don't know.
Well,
That's funny you said that because that's kind of how I took this too as I read it. Is like, who loves this message is the sales leaders, right?
Mhm.
They would love for this to change. But I also think there's one other thing that kind of, this is possible if you're a HubSpot. And what I mean is there's enough SQOs for marketing to optimize it around, right? There's typically not enough SQOs at a lot of companies, unless you're getting to hundreds, to say, oh, wow, marketing can figure out how to drive that, right? Especially for an enterprise sale, you might only have 10 of those a month. Like, that's hard to figure out how to drive that specifically through campaigns and things like that.
Yeah,
That's
and
why I
then
said it's a death trap for a marketer.
yeah, and then
well,
and then
and to
so it's
me,
like so.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
you
You're
go
good.
ahead,
I'm
Liz.
sorry. No, you go. You go.
All right, if you insist. Here's the thing, right? Like, so if you're saying you're going to go down that path, you're like, yep, sales qualified opportunities, that's what I'm optimizing for. Does that mean that you don't do anything else? Like, you're not bringing leads to the table? Like, what
Ooh.
what is
Like
what is
fully
happening with the
abandon
other
the
activities? Is
lead
it like SQOs or bust? Fuck everything else. Come on, like this isn't practical.
Well, I know I can tell a story from my own experience. Like when I first started at Logi, we optimized for SQOs, right? Like in the first quarter, we hit our lead goal, we hit everything, we hit our SQO goal, and then we didn't carry the amount of coverage we had wanted. And the problem was when we incentivize our team to go for behavior, the behavior to go for SQOs, they didn't translate to pipeline. They were all smaller deals, and we were really trying to get smaller deals that move faster. But then when we optimized for small deals, like we didn't hit our pipeline goals.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue with just saying, oh, there's one metric, there's one holy grail metric for marketing, you incentivize the wrong behavior, and you end up doing high fives in a parking lot that doesn't turn into business for, growth.
So let's do this then. Since I know you're insanely passionate about this, Liz, what are the marketing KPIs? Like, so if it's not SQOs, how do you measure marketing? This is what's debated all the time, right? Like,
really always debated. We were
what
talking
is?
about how this is the only industry where people actually debate like our KPI all the time. And to me, there's three holy grails, I guess. There's like, it's like a journey. You got three holy grails you want to hit. For me, I look at meetings held. I see nobody talking about meetings held. For some reason, to me, the efficacy of marketing strategy and of growth marketing is, do you get a person who wants to sit on a phone call with a sales rep and pitch? Your right fit leads, they want to take the time. You've convinced them. If 80% of buying happens before your first discovery meeting,
I'm going to disagree with you on that, but keep going.
I know. Then that is your first measurement, right? To me, your lead strategy is working if you are hitting good discovery meetings. And then the middle metric, pipeline, right? So are those discovery meetings actually hitting a decision criteria? So my company uses Spice. I recommend using a very rigorous criteria for your SAO. So are your discovery meetings pushed through a rigorous process actually turning into pipeline that your sales team can close? And then finally, revenue. But the problem with hanging your hat on revenue is, I know for me, we do large deals, right? I mean, it can take 3 to 6 months for revenue. I can't base all of my marketing strategy success and failure off of only revenue. I would literally lag behind. A terrible decision would influence a whole year. It's just not possible. And I like the 3-step approach to KPIs. You cannot just watch one thing.
So let's start with meetings. I just want to pick that apart right now because this is why you get the bullshit marketing with $100 gift cards to take a meeting. I mean, is that what we're moving towards at this point? Like, just more $100 gift cards to take a meeting, more direct mailboxes to get a meeting. The problem with all those metrics to me is,
though. I mean, for me, I've never seen efficacy in bribery. So I don't know. For me, like, it just, even just to get meetings, it doesn't work. But I get what you're saying. I think the average CTO, like $100 gift card doesn't effing matter enough to be worth their time. Like, I don't know about you. Like, I get stuff all the time. I'm like, God, I would rather go jump into like a moving creek rather than get $100 gift card from you,
I mean, I've taken a little bit of money, and I think this goes back to what we talked about earlier, which is respect the difference between marketing and sales. Chris got away from that. I think you're getting away from that. I make it really freaking easy. I think there's two metrics like you look at, and yes, you use all these other metrics anecdotally, but they stay in marketing. And that's kind of what pisses me off with like what people are looking at. All that stuff you like, meetings, MQLs, leads, website sessions, all that shit does not leave marketing. That becomes the issue. I see that shit reported on board slides to freaking PE firms. I'm like, they should not be looking at that stuff, right? So when I work with customers, one thing we do, define your North Star metric, and we figure out how to work with that across the company. Because it also then pigeonholes marketing to only focus on new business. And that's the other thing I really dislike. There's lots of ways to drive growth outside of just net new revenue, which is how most people define it. So we look at it as, what's your North Star metric? Now, how do we influence that across the funnel to make that number go up? All the other stuff stays in marketing, does not leave it. It couldn't be pipeline for some customers. It can be revenue. It varies wildly across customers, but you have to define it for your life cycle, your customer segment, your product. It is not the same for every company. And that's what's missing. We're trying to bucket it to everybody.
See, I disagree. I think that you actually could keep probably 90% consistent across, but we can leave that fight for, another time. I think there is something...
Jorgen's brain is spinning. I'm kind of curious
I know.
What he's going to come out with.
It's not that great. But...
yeah. Oh, shit.
I was going somewhere really similar, right? Like, Liz, you and I have different opinions, partly because we're different humans and all that, but we're also at different companies at different stages with different challenges, right? I think there is a huge problem with all this pontificating that's going on out there in sort of marketing LinkedIn land. There is so many opinions about this stuff, and there's this desire to just like come up with like the answer, and that is supposed to be like the answer, right? No, I don't think so. I know for our business at 10 million ARR, trying to figure some stuff out, I don't think obsessing over the same exact KPIs at the same levels as your business, Liz, makes sense. We have some fundamental things to figure out, right? And I think the thing that I just absolutely hate with all things KPIs, metrics, data, spreadsheets, is that they are used to try to simplify and boil down what the challenge is, when at some levels it is in that sense, like that's where you find the problem. But in many cases, that's not how you find the problem. The unlock isn't, apparent just from that, right? And I know that's the shit we're dealing with. That's the mistake that I've made, like at ScreenCloud a year and a half in, is to not just go deep and figure out what exactly is it. It isn't in the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Well, it is,
Jorgen,
because I think closing business, by the time you get to close one and by the time you get to revenue, there's 1,000 factors that can go wrong, right? And I think that's also why I will always recommend you looking at the full picture for everything, right? But again, there could be so many different things that are not honestly marketing related as to why you don't hit revenue goals.
I think Jorgen was onto something that sums up everything. It still doesn't fix what Chris said, doesn't fix anything we talked about. Even if marketing is going to be measured on SQOs, the problem is what every freaking company does is they backfill it in a spreadsheet. Whether it's revenue, SQOs, they go, okay, we need 50 SQOs. That means we need 100 opportunities. We need 500 leads. We need 10,000 website sessions. And that's the big issue, because it doesn't work like that. And yet everybody tries to distill it down to a math problem like that.
Well, and I think that you can to some extent. And I have a great example actually from this past week. And there's just so many times where buyer behavior does not work linearly like that, right? So we're looking at website data and we noticed our conversions were down like 80%, right? And it was because we put our demo video before the gate. So somebody can watch now a demo video of our product and then they can gate it. We did not gate our demo. That reduced conversions. On the other hand, our website pipeline generation is higher than it's ever been. So everybody is running around, no leads, there's no leads here, and they've gone down, the new website sucks, They're like, we need to put the video, go hide it away behind a gate again. I'm like, but look, people, like, this is the best pipeline we've seen generated from our website. And it is because people can become educated on our product and they can understand what they do. And then they want to learn more, right? Like they can make that decision. They can self-educate. They don't want to talk to sales. So, I do think that when you so I love to make a spreadsheet and calculate it out that way. Trust me, I do. And I do it occasionally. But at the same time, you also have to optimize and really think, okay, I am a human buyer. What does a human buyer's journey look like? Then optimize for that. And sometimes it does not fit that spreadsheet, and you have to be willing to challenge your spreadsheet and like fucking rip it up and start over and try different things.
Jorgen, last words, yours.
Sorry.
Oh, that's a lot. Well, I was looking at this right here. I found my little skateboard, and I'm really excited about this because I'm an old skater boy.
Look at what I just bought, a Rubik's Cube. This is pretty baller. So let's do an ad segment. This syncs to your phone and teaches you how to do it, and you can challenge people. So anyways,
Sweet.
Off topic, but marketing works.
My final thing is this. Everything is about what stage you're at. That's it. Depending on like that, your hiring decisions to your tactical, like paid media decisions, it all depends, like where you really spend your energy as a marketer and a marketing team. It's what stage you're at and recognizing what problem you're actually trying to solve. And the shit that's out there right now, and like all respect to Chris and stuff, he's an important thinker in our space.
100%.
We cannot sit and just listen to all this stuff that is coming through LinkedIn all the time from all the experts with their point of view and say, oh yeah, well that totally like, maps to me, I'm sure. Well, that, that person said it, so, that's got to be right. You have to recognize, it's about kind of like self-awareness at the company and team level, right? Like where are we and what is our actual problem?
Yep. I think that's a great way to end this segment. So, Liz, you got to talk KPIs for 15 freaking minutes. There will be no KPIs next week. Later, everybody.
I don't know. We're always debating, so.
It lives on, the debate.